episode 11 of season 17 of Deadliest Catch. And in this episode, the boats that'll be in this episode are the Summer Bay, Time Bandit, Saga, and Cornelia Marie. In this episode, there's going to be some mechanical breakdowns on a couple boats. One of the boats has two mechanical breakdowns. Something happened with their block to haul in the pots, and the same boat later on in the episode will have a hole in the hull of the boat, so it's leaking water into a compartment that is not supposed to have water. And then another boat, it's leaking hydraulic oil on its winch on the crane, so you'll hear about those more later in this episode. This episode starts out with the Summer Bay, and the Summer Bay is on the cod fishing grounds. This is derby style fishing. With derby style fishing, it's basically fishing until the season is done, and the boats have no quotas. It's just catch until the quota is all caught up. They're doing really well with the amount of cod they're bringing in. Then it goes to the Time Bandit, and the Time Bandit is working on moving the Cornelia Marie's gear, and the deal they made was Johnathan would haul in the pots and they would keep the crab that were in the Cornelia Marie pots because they need to go into town soon because they've been sitting a lot longer than Josh and Casey would have liked. So Jonathan's going to move all 230 pots of the Cornelia Marie onto really hot fishing for him because in the last episode the Cornelia Marie broke their block. They couldn't fix it, so they had to go into town to get it fixed. So Jonathan's doing that. Then it goes to the Saga. The Saga is in the southern grounds closer to Dutch Harbor. I think he's about 109 miles away from St. Paul. He doesn't want to go out to the US-Russian line out in the ocean. It's blowing pretty good, and he keeps saying that we need to get these pots off of our boat soon because the weather's just going to keep getting nastier and nastier out. They're sending their gear in the southern grounds. Then it goes to the Cornelia Marie. The Cornelia Marie is in, I think, St. Paul. They are working on the block, making sure it's all good, because it was leaking the last time it was in operation. So Casey and another deckhand are in the workshop of the Cornelia Marie, working on the motor for the block, because they have the replacement parts. Once they get it fixed, they bring it up to the block, put it in, get it installed, make sure everything's working, and then they head out to the fishing grounds. Then it goes to the Time Bandit. And the Time Bandit is still doing really well with the crab from the Cornelia Marie pots, and they're hauling and moving them for him. Then it goes back to the Saga. While the Saga is setting their gear, their engineer, I don't remember his name, he'd been at Greenhorn at like 5 years ago on the Saga, and now he's the engineer on the Saga 5 years later. He went to another boat for a couple years, and now he's back. Jake was not all that happy with him because when he was moving a pot with the crane, he hit the shield above the wheelhouse. Jake was like, watch where you're going, I don't want pots hitting the wheelhouse or doing damage to the boat. He gets that pretty much figured out and dealt with. Then it goes to the Summer Bay. The Summer Bay is hauling in a cod pot and they're still doing really good. This is something I've never seen in the 17 years I've been watching Deadliest Catch. The deckhands on the Summer Bay have never seen this either. What happened was they were hauling in a pot with cod, and the davit that holds the block in place, it snapped. Block was being held by one arm. Normally it has two arms holding it in place, but it only had one arm holding it after that one davit broke. So they have to throw the pot line back into the water, and then they have to secure the block and bring it back on deck to get it fixed. And then Wild Bill's like, can you guys get it fixed now? And Landon's like, no, we have to go back into town to get it fixed. Then it goes to the Time Bandit, and the Time Bandit is still hauling in and moving gear, and it shows Casey and Josh and the Cornelia Marie just leaving St. Paul, and they're like, we'll be there in a couple days. Johnathan, he has to really hustle. He has about 32 hours, about half 230 pots move before the Cornelia Marie gets out to the grounds. And at the beginning of the episode, when Johnathan was trying to get his crew motivated to get going, he took out a flare and he launched it towards the crew on the Time Bandit, and he accidentally shot it into some of the gear that is from the Cornelia Marie, and a couple pots started catching on fire, so the crew had to put that out, so that was pretty funny. Then it goes to the Summer Bay. The Summer Bay is back in, I think it was Harbor to get it fixed. They got some stuff remade, and then they started putting it together, and they got it put together, made sure it was all good, and then they head back out to the cod grounds for the remainder of cod fishing season. Wild Bill wants to catch 550,000 pounds of cod. Then it goes to the Saga. The Saga hauls in its first pot, and it gets a couple hundred Opillio crab. And they're doing really well there, and Jake is really happy with it. While they're hauling in a pot, one of the deckhands notices that the hydraulics to the winch on the crane, it's leaking. So the Saga's engineer has to climb up onto the boom of the crane and get it fixed and tightened, and then he has to do a little welding to get it. And they're in some pretty big waves. The engineer has to go about 30 feet off of the deck just to fix this hose, and it's icy and dangerous up there, but he gets it done, and it's working even better than it did before. Jake was like, he fixed it, but he fixed it better than it needed to be. It's working out good, and then they get back to crab fishing. Then it goes back to the summer bay, and the summer bay is just getting out to the cod grounds, and they start going through their gear, and they're doing really, really well still. And all of a sudden, Wild Bill gets a alarm for a water level in the bilge area. Landon and another deckhand have to go into the bow where the bulge is and see where the leak is coming from. And Landon there, and he sees the leak, and it's a pretty big leak, letting in quite a bit of seawater. So the crew works on a patch to get it fixed, and they put a square piece of metal with a little cork in it, and basically made a cork out of it, and they'd get that into the hole and weld it shut, and that stopped all the water, and they get back to cod fishing, and they're getting 20 some codfish to the high teens, which is really good for cod fishing. Then it goes to the Time Bandit, and the Time Bandit is still moving the Cornelia Marie's gear and still doing really good and moving it onto good fishing. The Cornelia Marie calls Johnathan to let them know they're about 15 hours out from the grounds, so Johnathan really has to hustle now, and he and the crew have been up for about 36 hours straight, setting and moving the Cornelia Marie's gear, but they've been getting a lot of crab from the Cornelia Marie's pots. While the Time Bandit is hauling in some gear, all of a sudden, Time Bandit takes a wave, and the pot Blind Dog and another deckhand we're holding on to it swings, and it sends Blind Dog into the sorting table. The pot kind of pinned him briefly to the tables. He gets up and sets a pot, and then Johnathan calls him in to go rest up, make sure he's all good, and he's like, just stay in for the night and go out in the next day or so. Then it goes to the Saga, and the Saga is hauling in their gear, and they're still doing really well on the Opillio Grounds. Jake is really happy about that. Then it goes to the Summer Bay, and the Summer Bay is just finishing their cod season, and they catch a total of 550,000 pounds of cod, which is really, really good. I think this is the most Wild Bill has caught in a long, long time. So he's like, the guys are going to be thrilled that we hit 550,000 pounds of cod. They're going to go back to Dutch Harbor, go load on their crab pots for Opillio crab, and go Opillio crab fishing. Then it goes to the Cornelia Marie, and the Cornelia Marie gets back to the fishing grounds, and they meet up with the Time Bandit, where Johnathan gets the coordinates and numbers and where everything is. Johnathan has all that printed off and everything where it needs to be, and they put it on the same buoy that they got the numbers from the Cornelia Marie, and they send it back to the Cornelia Marie. Josh and Casey get it, look at it, and they're like, there's a bunch of chicken scratch, like all kinds of markings all over it, and there's even some cigarette burns on their paper, but they figure it out, and they start going through their gear, and it's doing extremely well. So Josh calls Johnathan over the radio, and he's like, we really appreciate what you did for us, and we couldn't ask for anything more. Thank you so much. So then it goes back to the Time Bandit, and Johnathan's like, someday we are going to want a favor in return. So that is how episode 11 of season 17 of Deadliest Catch ends. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the bell icon down below so I can be notified when I upload videos. Also, please share this video with your friends and family. Don't forget to smash the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you guys for watching, and if you ain't dreaming, you ain't living. Don't forget to dream big.